Welcome to Campfire Stories.
Pull in close, friends, and mind the fire stays high, because tonight's Ottawa Valley legend is the oldest and the coldest of them all. It does not come from the settlers. It comes from the Algonquin people who have known this land for thousands of years, and it lives in the deep snow of the North Woods, in the worst of the winter, in the place where hunger and loneliness meet. They call it the Wendigo.
The Wendigo. Marty, I have heard that word and it has always frightened me, and I do not even know why. What is it?
It is the spirit of winter starvation, Carol, made into a monster. Picture the old world of the valley, the trapper or the family in a cabin, far from any other soul, and the snow comes down for weeks, and the game vanishes, and the food runs low, and the cold gets into the bones and the mind alike. The Wendigo is what that becomes when it becomes a thing. It is a gaunt and towering figure, they say, thin as famine itself, skin stretched over bone, lips chewed away with a heart made of ice. And it is always, always hungry, and it can never, ever be filled.
A heart made of ice and a hunger that cannot be filled. Oh, Marty. That is not a monster with claws and teeth, is it? That is something worse. That is hunger itself, walking.
You have understood it, Carol, better than most, because the terror of the Wendigo was never really about being eaten by a beast in the trees. It was about becoming one. Because here is the heart of the old teaching. The most dreadful thing that could happen in that long white winter was for a person, starving, alone, desperate, to give in and do the unthinkable to survive, to turn on another human being for food. And the belief was that a person who crossed that line did not simply commit a terrible act. They were taken. The Wendigo entered them, and they became it, and the hunger never left them again, and it only ever grew.
So it is a warning, Marty. The monster is what you turn into if you let the hunger win. If you put your own survival above every other soul. That is chillingly wise.
It is one of the wisest legends I know, Carol, and one of the most humane, strange as that is to say about a flesh-eating giant in the snow. Because a people who must survive the hardest winters on earth, close together, depending on one another to live, needed above all things to teach the young that no hunger, no fear, no cold, ever justifies devouring your neighbor. And they did not teach it with a rule. They taught it with a terror. They said, if you do that, you will not be a person anymore. You will be the thing in the woods, and you will be alone and hungry forever. There is no punishment more complete.
You will be alone and hungry forever. Marty, that is the loneliest sentence I have ever heard at this fire. So the settlers who came into the valley, did they feel it too? The Wendigo?
They felt it, Carol, though they did not always have the name. The lumber camps and the lonely homesteads of the Ottawa Valley knew that particular fear, the fear of the man who goes strange in the deep winter, out at the edge of things, too long alone with too little. There are old stories of trappers who came back from a hard season not quite themselves, who had a hollow, hungry look, who could not sit at a table with other men. And the old-timers, the ones who knew the Algonquin ways, would go quiet and say that one has heard the Wendigo calling. Best not to be near him when the snow gets deep.
Marty, that gives me a genuine chill. The ordinary man who came back from the winter wrong. Because that could be true, couldn't it, without any monster at all? A person can be broken by cold and hunger and being alone.
That is exactly the shiver of it, Carol, and it is why the Wendigo has outlasted so many prettier legends. Whether you believe in a giant with a heart of ice, or whether you believe only in what isolation and starvation can do to the human mind, the truth underneath is the same, and it is real, and it is frightening. There is a kind of cold that can hollow a person out. There is a hunger that is not for food at all, but for more, always more, that can never be satisfied, and that will consume everyone around you if you feed it. We have all met people, Carol, with a little of the Wendigo in them. a hunger nothing fills.
We have, Marty. And you are right, it is the same monster, whether it is out in the snow or in a person who just cannot ever have enough. How did the old people say you protect yourself from it?
The very opposite of what you would guess, Carol. Not with weapons, not with fire, though those help against the cold. You protect yourself from the Wendigo by staying human, by staying close to your people, by sharing what little food you have instead of hoarding it, by making sure no one at the fire goes without, so that no one is ever alone enough or desperate enough for the hunger to get in. The old defense against the monster of starvation was, of all things, generosity. Feed each other, and the thing that feeds on people cannot find a door. And I think that is a lesson worth carrying out of the deep woods and into any winter, of any kind, that any of us ever face. I'm Marty Shepherd.
And I'm Carol, and tonight I'm going to hold my people a little closer against the cold and make sure no one near me goes hungry in any way that matters. Keep your fire high, keep your hearts warm and open, and come back to the fire.